using up a makeup product can be just as satisfying as buying something new, maybe even more so. It's actually kind of addictive, to be honest. In the first 6 months of 2025, I used up 21 makeup products. While there wasn't anything in here that I hated and would absolutely never repurchase, there were some things that I love and will definitely repurchase, and other things that were just kind of, it was fine, I used them, but I don't need them again. And as I go along, I'm also going to be sharing 5 tips that can help you become a user of makeup rather than just a purchaser of makeup. Be sure to stick around to the last one because honestly, it's the most important, and without it, none of the other ones even really matter. I've got my after lunch cup of coffee. Why don't you grab one too, and we'll get into this. As a sense of organizing, I'm going to roughly divide this into kind of the way that things get put on your face. And to start with, I used up 2 full-size primers and 2 travel-size primers. At the beginning of 2025, I did a complete makeup inventory, except for my eyeshadow. I know I still owe you guys an eyeshadow collection and declutter video, and it will be coming, I promise. It's just a much bigger undertaking than I've had the time to do right now. But as part of that process, I actually went through purchase records as far back as I reasonably could and put a sticker on every product with the month and year that I bought it. That way I can know how long something has been in my collection and if it's time to think about decluttering it because it's getting too agey. Time goes by faster than we think, and something that you think you might have just purchased last year might have been sitting there for 3 or even 4 years. I was shocked with the age of some of the products in my inventory. But the nice thing is now I can tell you how long it took me to use it up. So the first thing I have is this Moira Pore Vanishing Primer. I love this primer. And yes, it is one that I would recommend and repurchase. It's really good, especially if you're an oily skin girl, for mattifying and blurring, but I didn't feel like it was drying. So unless you're a really dry skin person, I think it could be a good solution for you if you have some enlarged pores that you kind of want to tone down a little. And I did cut the top off and scraped out every bit that I could. This one I purchased in November of 2022 and used it up pretty close to the beginning of 2025. So just over 2 years. The other full-size primer that I used up is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer. This is one of their sticky gripping primers, but it smells like watermelon and it's a joy to use. Works great for holding onto your makeup. Doesn't really do anything for pore blurring, but it doesn't claim to. It's just to help grip your makeup, make it last longer, and it does that really well. I do believe that this is out of stock again. It came out, went away, re-released, went away, released again, and I don't think it's currently available, but there are other versions of this. The Mint Melt Cooling Primer was one, the gripping primer with niacinamide, and now there is a matte gripping primer, and I do have that one. So won't be repurchasing this, but if it was available, I probably would. The first travel size I used up is one of the e.l.f. Power Grip Primers. This was the niacinamide one. It's the pink one. The other one is kind of a bluish green. And I got this as a free gift. And I was glad to have it because I was able to compare it to the regular Power Grip Primer that I had at the time. I have since used that one up. And honestly, I could not tell a difference in the performance of it. So the difference is if you want the extra niacinamide. You just kind of have to watch because niacinamide can be cumulative. And if you have a serum with niacinamide and a primer with niacinamide and a foundation with niacinamide, you might find that you get too much. And if you have sensitive skin, it could be a little irritating to you. So pay attention to the products that you put on your face that have added niacinamide so that you're not getting too much of it. But if you need extra niacinamide, this is a fine primer. And yes, I would repurchase it. And then the last one is the Ciate London Watermelon Burst Hydrating Primer. I don't typically use a hydrating primer. If you're new here, hi, I'm Tina. I have mature combo oily skin, especially in the summer. I get oily in the T-zone and across my cheeks. And so hydrating products are typically something I stay away from because they just make my makeup slide off my face. I end up greasy, looking like a disco ball by the end of the day, and that's not a look that I'm really going for. So too much hydration for me is not a good thing, but this is one that I can actually use without it being too much. But this is a hydrating primer that doesn't give me too much hydration, and I do really enjoy using it. Probably wouldn't repurchase it, unless I was on the Ipsy drop shop and buying other things and it happened to be available again. But I have enough primers right now that I don't need to worry about buying any new ones. Oh, I have one more, and that is the L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base. This was in my Out the Door in 24 Project Pan. A Project Pan is where you put certain products into a group or in a basket or whatever that you're going to focus on them to get them used up. And pan refers to being able to see the bottom of the container. So you hit pan when you can see it. And if you have panned an item, that means you used it all up. If you're a veteran panner, you know all that. But if you're brand new to this, sometimes the lingo can be a little confusing. Anyway, this L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base, I found out about this through Jen Phelps, and I absolutely loved it. It is not available. You can sometimes still find them out there, but at this point, they're probably getting kind of agey. So I'd be really careful about buying it off of eBay or wherever. This one I got in September of 2021 and finally used it up. I believe it was in January of this year. So this basket I've been collecting since January 1. And so some of these products just got used up last week and some of them were used up in January. So 5 primers. That's amazing. So let's jump into the first tip of how to become a user of makeup rather than a purchaser of makeup. And the first tip is to go for the low-hanging fruit first. Find the products that are almost used up. Whether it's a powder product that looks like this, where you can actually see the bottom of the pan and there's just some in the outside, or a foundation that just has that much left in it, a tube of eyeshadow primer that looks like that. Find those products first and then put them in a little basket and focus on them. If you don't have something specific in mind, reach for that product, because when you use that up, it kind of gives you a little dopamine hit and then you want to use more. If you start with a full brand new bottle of foundation, it's going to take a really long time to get through it and you're going to get bored and frustrated and want something new. But if you find something that's almost gone and you can use it up in a couple weeks or a month, that's going to give you a win to build on and you're going to go looking for more things that you can empty out. This was the concept behind a project I did in 2022 called PUD, Project Use Up the Dribs and Drabs. So anything that had just a little bit left in it, I put 5 products in a basket. When one got used up, it went to the empties bin and something else that was almost gone went in. That was the extent of my tracking. I didn't weigh, I didn't measure, I didn't take pictures. It wasn't complicated. You can make project panning super complicated, or you can make it simple and just focus on the products that are almost gone and then move on to something else. If you want some inspiration, I will put that playlist up here so you can go look at it. The first year I did PUD, I used up 63 makeup products in 1 year. Before I move on to foundations, I guess technically this is also a primer. This is the Wet n Wild Cooling Hydra Depuffer for eye and face. I love this product. I have a brand new one right here because if I had $1 for every time I dropped something when I was filming, I would have more in that fund than I do in my AdSense fund. Anyway, I just bought this week because I finally finished up this one. And it is gone. Not just gone down to where you can't get it out anymore, but I scraped out every last bit of that. And I purchased this in July of last year. So it took me about a year of using this pretty much every day to use it up. I only use it under my eyes. It has caffeine, vitamin E, green tea oil, and hyaluronic acid. And I think it just helps with smoothing out my under eyes. My concealer goes on so well over it and is less creasy, less crepey. And I just really like this. And it's $4.99. If you buy it, keep this little cap to put up back on top because it keeps it from drying out. And you can see that it gives you a pretty good amount, but then there's also this amount right here that is solid down in here. And that's what I dug out. I have 2 foundation empties. One is the last of my CYO Life Proof foundation. I love this foundation. It looked so beautiful on my skin. It was a perfect cool tone. And for a long time, there was just a little bit left in here. And I was not wanting to use it because I didn't want it to be gone. But that's not really very smart because if I didn't use it, eventually it was going to go bad and I was going to have to throw it away. And so I decided that I wanted to enjoy using the last of it and not throw away the last of it. And so I did. And it's now gone. And I have other foundations that I love None of them that are quite like this. I know some people have said the Ulta Complexion Crush is like this. On my skin, it's really not. This is heavier. This just looked more like my skin and seamless, and you couldn't tell it was there. And I really wish I could still get it. The other one that I have used up is the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint. This is probably my favorite skin tint right now. There's a couple that are up there, but I think this one would be my favorite. It is beautiful on my combo oily skin. Looks great all day long. Doesn't get greasy, cakey, heavy, none of that. Love it. And this one I bought in February of 2024. So I have a lot of foundations. Any foundation that I've used enough to use up in just over 1 year, that's saying something about it. And will I repurchase it? Already have. By the way, in case we're shade twins, my shade on this and in most Maybelline foundations is 112. And then sadly, I have a declutter. I had 2 bottles of this Believe Beauty foundation. This was exclusive to Dollar General. It is now no longer in Dollar General, at least none of the ones around me. And so when I heard it was going away, I went and bought another one. Unfortunately, I think they had old stock on the shelf because this smells terrible. I just bought this in December and I am decluttering it because I'm not going to use something that smells off on my face. I had to declutter the other 2 bottles I had. One was almost gone, but they had also gone off. So unfortunately, even though I loved this foundation, I am not going to be able to use this bottle. By the way, I have a few declutters in here and they are not included in that product total. I only included the products I actually used up in that total. So the second tip for getting through products, let's say you have a category that doesn't really have anything that's almost gone. Pick one product and focus on it. Put your energy into it. Decide that you're just going to use that one all the time until it's gone. By focusing attention rather than spreading your attention out to a lot of different products, you will see progress and you will see it get used up. I am using that tip for the lip balm, lip oil that I keep in the living room on the end table next to where I sit when we're watching TV and stuff. I have a lip oil or a lip gloss or a lip balm there. Use that one until it's gone and then put a new one there. So you can easily combine these tips. You don't have to pick one. Moving into the next category, I used up a concealer. This is the Believe Beauty Concealer. And like I said, exclusively available at Dollar General, no longer available. Problem I've had with a lot of these concealers was the doe foot would fall off inside. But what I did was most of the time I just dabbed my finger on and used it like that. But once it got down to where I couldn't get any out, I used my makeup spatula, took out the stopper, scraped it all out, and then put it into another empty container that I had and used it from there. So that is completely gone. And then I have another declutter. This is the Jecca Black Concealer. This was December 2021 that I purchased it, and it has gone off. So I am decluttering that. This next category, I think, is the one that I am most proud of, and that is powders. And y'all, I used up 3 freaking powders. I can't believe that I used up 3 powders. That's crazy. But the way I did it was with tip number 3. And that is to set up a rotation. And so I have all of my powders in this long container and they sit on my shelf just like this. And every day I pull one from the front and I use it. And when I'm done, I put it in the back. And by doing that, I'm using all of my powders and I am seeing use on all of my powders. Now, if there's a powder that I particularly like, I might use it 2 or 3 days in a row before I stick it in the back. If there's one that I know works really well for a situation that I'm going into, maybe I'm going to be outside in the heat, and so I need a mattifying powder. Or I just know that this Maybelline Fit Me works with any foundation in any situation, and I'm going to be on stage. I might pull this one even if it's not at the front. But in general, I rotate my powders, and by doing that, I have 3 empties. The first one is from Revolution Beauty. This was their Relove brand that they had in Walmart. I got this in April of 2023, so it took me about 2 years to use it up. It's a super matte powder, and I really liked it. I would definitely repurchase it if the Walmart near me carried this brand, and I needed a pressed powder, which right now I do not. The next one is the Moira Soft Focus Waterproof Setting Powder. in the shade 200. I got this in November of 2022. I did a Black Friday Moira haul, and I'll put that video up in the comments. It was the very first time I used Moira. And again, that one I heard about from Jen Phelps and absolutely love that brand. This powder is fantastic. I've never tested the waterproof claim as far as like going swimming in it or anything like that, but it does just lock in my makeup and looks beautiful all day long. And then I have my favorite Essence 16-hour Cover and Last Powder Foundation. This is my holy grail powder foundation. I absolutely love it. This one was sent to me by my friend Andy back in September of 2024. This is the third one of these that I have used up. I really like using this in the summertime. I put on my Australian Gold SPF, put a light dusting of this over it, little blush, mascara, tinted lip balm, and I am out the door. I haven't repurchased this because I have a couple of other powder foundations that I'm going to force myself to use before I repurchase it, but I will definitely repurchase it. The weird thing about this is I've had this in shades 02, 03, and 05. And somehow they all work for me. I don't know how. So if you're deeper skinned than me, then you go up the shade range because 05 still works on me. Maybe it's because it works on my summer skin and the others work on my winter skin. I don't know how it's working, but I think I liked 03 the best. The next products I have are brow products. I have an Essence Make Me Brow in 03 Soft Brownie Brows, and I love this. I have purchased it many times and will repurchase it again. Right now I have the e.l.f. Wow Brow, and I kind of just go back and forth between the two. And then the other one is the Wet n Wild Brow-Cessive Brow Shaping Gel. I can't read the bottom of this. I'll put the shade down in the description when I link it. I kind of like the brush on this one because I don't feel like it gets as gloppy as the brush in the Make Me Brow or the Wow Brow from e.l.f. And I tried actually to use this wand in this component, and unfortunately it didn't work because, oh, it did go in. I just had to push a little harder. It actually goes down further in there too, so there's a little bit more in there. I may reclaim. The problem is it doesn't screw on. I don't know. I was thinking maybe I'll reclaim the empty, but I mean there's probably just teeny tiny bit in there, so I'm not going to go to the trouble, but I wish that they were interchangeable because I like this wand better. Tip number 4 is to use products in different ways than what they were intended, especially for products you don't like. For example, this bronzer that I'm trying to use up, I use this for an eyeshadow all the time. I put it on my face and then I take a fluffy brush, swirl it around in there, put it in the crease transition area, little mascara, little eyeliner, I'm out the door. And by giving it another purpose, it gives me more opportunities to use it, and therefore I'm going to use it faster. Now, that's a product that I like, but what about a product you don't like? Let's say you have a ColourPop lippy stick that you think is just too drying on your mature lips. Well, guess what? You can use it as a blush and get rid of it that way. You can use a shimmer eyeshadow as highlight, and vice versa. Use your highlighter as a shimmery eyeshadow as long as it's eye safe. Be careful about that. Another thing you can do is with eyeshadows, you can actually use them on your fingernails. Put on a clear coat, dab on some of the eyeshadow pigment, and then put a clear coat over the top of it for a unique fingernail shade that is all you. So get creative and think about ways that you can use products in ways other than what they are intended. My next category is mascaras, and I have 5 of them in here. I did a mascara declutter at the beginning of the year. Any video I mentioned, you'll probably be able to find it in the cards and in the description box down below. And I got rid of a lot of mascaras because I had a lot of mascaras that were scary old. And at that time, I set a limit for myself that existing mascaras would be decluttered from my collection when they hit 1 year old. I know they say to not use a mascara that's older than 3 months. That seems a little excessive to me, but going forward, when I purchase new mascaras, they're going to have a 6-month shelf life in my collection. That's what I'm comfortable with. If you're not only comfortable with 3 months, fine. If you're comfortable using something that's 5 years old, that's on you. I'm setting 6 months as my expiration date on any new mascara coming into my collection. So when I started in January, I didn't have any mascaras that were purchased prior to January of 2024 because they would have been over a year old. So as I went through the year and hit that month, mascaras were rolling out of my inventory. However, I did use up 3 mascaras before they hit that year mark. And the first one was this Maybelline Sky High. I really focused on it in January because it was purchased in January of 2024. So at the end of January, I would have had to get rid of it. And it is gone. I really, really like this mascara. I will repurchase it. I like the wand. I like the formula. I like how it leaves just the right amount on the wand when you pull it out of the stopper. I have a couple right now that it's driving me crazy because they come out with so much product on it that you have to wipe the wand off, and that's just way too much trouble. Just way too much trouble. In fact, I don't really like any of the mascaras I have right now. I can't wait till they're all gone and I can start over because I've used up all the ones I like and now I'm stuck with the duds. So I used that one. Another one I used up is Maybelline also. This is the Lash Sensational. And I really like this wand as well. In fact, I would often use this mascara first because it would help curl the lashes. And then I would use the Sky High as a second coat to really amp up the volume and the length. It's a really good combination. And the third mascara I used up, and this one isn't actually due to leave until September, but I used it up early, and that is the Wet n Wild Tubing Mascara, The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not actually a tubing mascara. Let's clear that up. It does not come off in tubes with warm water when you wash your face at night. It does not flake or smudge like a tubing mascara, but it doesn't come off like a tubing mascara. This wand is perfection for separating your lashes. This was also a really good first coat mascara, and then you could put a volumizing one on top of that without getting just like clumps of 3 lashes. But it was also really good all by itself. A couple of coats of this and really, really nice lashes. I don't know if this formula is available outside of this Nightmare Before Christmas collection, but if it is, I would definitely repurchase it. And then these two are just straight declutters. I have this Tartelette tubing mascara. This is not a tubing mascara. From what I understand, the Tartelette XL tubing mascara is more like a tubing mascara in that it comes off in the tubes and that sort of thing. This one wears like a tubing mascara, but it doesn't come off like a tubing mascara. And so it has hit its 1-year expiration and therefore is being decluttered. And it's a fine mascara. I didn't have any trouble with it, but I wouldn't repurchase it because for one, it's expensive. And if I want a tubing mascara at this price, I'm going to buy the Thrive. But for the other thing is, if I want a tubing mascara, I'm probably going to buy the e.l.f. Lash Extender. So while I didn't hate using it, I won't repurchase it. And then the last one that I'm decluttering is the City Beauty Beyond Mascara. And this one has just gotten kind of dried out and clumpy. So I have a new tube of it. I love this mascara. It gives me beautiful lashes. I have a little bit of trouble with this big, fluffy, hourglass shaped wand with the big end over here. I always end up with it on the inside of my nose. I try to be careful, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I always end up with it all over my face. And the fifth tip I want to share with you is probably the most fun, and that is become a mad scientist with your products. If you have a foundation that's too deep for you, mix in one that's too light. Is the formula too heavy? Mix in a skin tint and see if you can lighten it up. You can also Franken products. And what I mean by Franken products is you take a couple of products and mix them together to make a new product. Do you like glowy blushes? Do you have a highlighter that you never really use as a highlighter? Take one of your favorite blush shades, crush up the powder, crush up the highlighter, mix it together, add a little alcohol, pack it back into the pan, and you now have a glowy blush. If you have cream shadows and you don't really like one of the shades, mix a couple of cream shadows together and make a new shade. I have one setting spray, and that is the Urban Decay All Nighter. I got this in October of 2021. It was a 2 for the price of 1 on Amazon, so I purchased this. I really do like this setting spray. I don't know if I like it enough to pay full price for it because I don't think it's that much better than the e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist, which I absolutely love. But if I could get it half off again, I would probably repurchase it. I only have one more category of products to share with you, but I do have one more bonus tip, so don't go away. But before I get to that last category, if this is the kind of content you enjoy and you're not subscribed to my channel yet, I would like to kindly ask that you take a second, hit that subscribe button, and when you do, make sure you turn your notifications on and set them to all. The default is personalized, and if it's set to personalized, that means YouTube gets to decide if you get to see my videos or not. Set them to all, and then you should get notified every time I upload a new video. And while you're down there, hit that like button. If you're already subscribed, please take a second and give me a like, because that tells YouTube that this is content that is worth pushing out to more people. All right, back to that last category, and that is lip products. And I have 3 to share with you. The first one is this Essence Juicy Balm Lip Gloss. This was in the shade Flavor Scent Lovely Raspberry. This was my hydrate my lips while I'm putting on my makeup lip gloss. This is another one that I use tip number 2 for. Pick a product and focus on it. When I always have one there on my vanity, when it's gone, I put another one in. Right now I'm focusing on my City Lips Plumping Lip Oil in the clear shade, and really like this. It is plumping, but it's not uncomfortably plumping. I did like the Juicy Balm Gloss, and I would consider purchasing it again. The next one is from LA Colors. It is a lip oil in Strawberry Fizz, and I really liked this. I liked the smell of it. I liked how hydrating it was on my lips, and I liked that it didn't feel like my lips were drier when I was done with it. Sometimes a lip oil will actually feel like it's drying out my lips, and this one did not. This was one that was by my seat in the living room. And the final product I have for you today is a ColourPop Lippy Sticks in Cookie. This was also in my Out the Door in 24 project pan. Didn't quite get it finished then, but I did finish it up pretty early in January, and it's gone. Now, I could dig that out of there and have more to use, but I'm not going to. Sometimes I cut the tops off my product, dig out every last little bit, and sometimes I don't, and it still counts. So my bonus tip for you, and probably the most important, is if you are interested in using the makeup that you already have, you need to change your mindset. And you need to think of yourself not as a buyer or purchaser or collector of makeup, but as a user and an appreciator of the makeup that you have. If you can set a goal with that low-hanging fruit that I talked about right at the very beginning and get some successes, they will build upon each other, and you will find that you'll find as much joy in using up the products that you currently own as you do in going out and buying something new. In fact, maybe even more so, because it doesn't cost you more to use up what you have. Conscious consumerism, underconsumption, minimalism, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have to be complicated. And it turns out the thrill isn't always just in the new full bottle. It can be found in the empty one too. What was your biggest win in using up a product this year? And what is the hardest category for you to use up? For me, and I think for a lot of people, it's blush. So hard to pan a blush. I worked on this thing for an entire year, and I still don't have pan. But it's okay. Eventually, if I'm persistent, I'll get there. If you have a little more time to hang out with me, I would love it, and I'll put a video here to make it easier for you. Stay confident, stay curious, stay you. God bless. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.